What's going on? It has been quite the year. Season is now over. Let's talk about it. Chaz here from Elevate Coaching. It's been a crazy journey. I mean, a lot of you know that this is my first year as a professional cyclist, so there's a lot that's happened that, man, I'm gonna be honest, I really wanted to just document this whole year just straight out of the gate. I started to in the off season, and then once the season started, it was like I got into this area of where, one, first year as a professional cyclist, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. It was a lot to learn. There's lots of good things that I learned. There's bad things that I did on my end that I learned from. On top of that, you know, I'm running a coaching business, so that became my priorities. Like, coaching and being a professional cyclist were the two things that really took up all my time. And I wanted to make videos, and it was just tough because I just didn't have the time to really sit down and put together some quality videos. So that's something that's on me, and that's my bad. This next season, going into 2023, I really want to work on that. Some other things is UCI races, you can't actually film during the race itself. So I didn't get to do any filming with that. I've learned that I have a GoPro 9, and I've learned that the battery life on that thing sucks, or half the time when I use it, it just turns off by itself when it's got plenty of life left. So that's been super frustrating. So any local crits I wasn't able to actually like get them filmed from start to finish. Some other things that happened was I had COVID mid-season. Like, we came back from Europe, I got hit with that. We had Maryland Classic. I was cramming for that. But outside of that, let's just kind of like talk about some of the things I learned this last year with being a professional cyclist. So let's go back to the beginning of this year, 2022. Actually 2021, before Christmas hit. I signed the contract with Team Skyline, super excited. I started my off-season training. You know, I talked a lot about where my threshold currently was, talked about where my fitness was. It was relatively low just coming back from, you know, just not really riding and starting the off-season. I think my FTP was around 320 watts, like, it wasn't anything crazy. I was fat. I wasn't fat. I wasn't lean. I wasn't race lean. I wasn't at my racing weight. I was around 155 pounds. And, you know, I had some work. I race really good when I'm around 146, 147. So that was something I had to work on. And on top of that, just not being, you know, anywhere close to my peak. But we had the whole off season. Fast forward, we go to team camp in January. Team camp in January was sick. Met the team. We're out in California, San Diego area. It was a great time. Fitness was solid, was rolling well, gelled with the guys, still on the heavy side in the 153 range, but it is what it is. Came home from team camp, and the weather here in Pennsylvania sucks during the winter. Super cool in January, super cool in February. It made it really hard to go out and get the proper base miles that I needed to get in, which I think is something that really kind of put me on the back foot when we started this season. But, you know, I did my best, got through what I could. In February, went out to Arizona for 3 weeks. Super cool. I got to go out there and live with one of my buddies on the team named Joseph. He's Canadian, but he lives in Arizona. Super cool. And hanging out with him, and we did Valley of the Sun as a team. Whoa, what up? We got Valley of the Sun today. We are gonna have so much fun racing with Team Skyline. Dude, check it. TT bike is looking fast. Is she not looking fast? Dude, we waxed that chain. Check out that chain. Anyways, my bro Joseph from Quebec, we're gonna throw it down. Yeah, throwing it down today? Yeah. Here we go, 8-man squad. Super fun. GC battle for today. Let's see how it goes. Then we had a week off, and then we did Tucson Bicycle Classic as a team. Overall, I wasn't super happy with how I was riding. It was definitely not my best performance, but I was a team player, so I was, working for the team, helping the team out best I could. It wasn't about me, which is totally fine. Something, that being on a professional team, that's something that you learn. Like, it's not always about you and your results. If your team gets a result, that is actually the biggest win that I could see. So that's kind of what I did going into that. So coming out of February, I come back home, weather's finally starting to get a little bit nicer here in the Pennsylvania, Maryland area. So that brings us into March. At this point, I'm about a month to 2 months out from Redlands, which is a really big goal of mine. It's kind of a bigger goal of the team's. It's really the first big race of the season for the team. So, I'm rolling decent. I can't remember what happens in March. I think, was March when my wife had sinus surgery? It could have been in March. I can't fully recall. I think it actually was. So I ended up taking a week off the bike because of that. I was helping out with that. I mean, that became kind of priority. It was tough to go ride when, she needed some help recovering from her surgery. So I did that, and that immediately kind of put me back a little bit. Then that brought me into Redlands. Again, I came into Redlands still around 153 pounds. Fitness was definitely not where it needed to be. Redlands quickly turned into just survive and get through the race for me personally. I helped the team the best I could when I could, but for the most part, I was just hanging on. Like, my last year fitness would have been killer for Redlands. This year, it wasn't the case. Bad part about that is when Redlands was over, we immediately jumped on an airplane and went across the pond to Europe. This is Trevor. He's currently single. He's a young gun on the team.
Thanks for leading with that.
Anytime. And this here's our French Canadian. He's gonna get us through with his French, right? Exactly.
Not so single.
I was gonna say. Not so single.
Luckily we're going
married, locked down hard. Anyways, lots of traveling here. Yo, shout out Shikon for all of the sponsored luggage. Appreciate it majorly. We are starting a super long trip. Me and Joe started in Phoenix this morning. Now we're in Newark. We're going to Zurich. I think we're picking up Jake in Zurich. I think Nick and Clayton are already in Italy, so.
I'm so excited.
Europe is one of the 7 continents.
It's one of the continents, is that what you said?
So it's one of the 7 continents.
I'm just so excited, man.
So excited.
So excited to go race UCI over there.
It's gonna be super fun. You gonna sleep?
Nikki.
Oh yeah.
I'm hard.
So hard. So hard.
All right, that was a brutal flight. Super tired. Didn't sleep much. That's how it goes, right? But we're officially in Zurich, Switzerland. So, oh no, we're totally good.
I'm good.
Thanks. Thank you. Where is? There you guys are. I thought you guys ditched me. What do you mean? What am I doing? We're here.
No paparazzi.
No paparazzi. I came out that door and the guy was like, "Oh, do you want me to take the picture for you?" And I was like, "No,
They
I'm
speak
good."
French here.
Of course they do.
I said bonjour.
Why would they not speak French?
I don't know.
And started racing some UCI races there. Didn't have the best showing. I raced decently in the races, but I'll be honest, like, racing over there is hard, and if you're not fit and you're not firing on all cylinders, you might as well not line up. So I think the first one, I had a big crash right towards the end, so I ended up getting caught behind that, and the group was railing it like 35 miles an hour for the next 30K, so I ended up finishing just outside time cut. So it ended up being a DNF, and then the next race we did was up in Denmark. It was a gravel race. I'm not a gravel guy. I did my best through that. When I got in another crash and it made me chase back on and rise, I caught on, we hit a gravel sector, and I just blown too many matches getting back on. So when we hit the gravel sector, we went nuclear, and that put me out the back instantly, like, I don't know, 50K from the finish. At that point, it was like, dude, I might as well just jump in the broom wagon and finish this one off. Another race we had was, we did a Giro Apennino, a UAE, Intermarché. Israel Premier Tech showed up to that race. It was a very climby race, so if you were a climber, it was solid for you, which some of us on the team are climbers, but we weren't firing as climbers at that point. Like, our fitness wasn't there.
Let's go, Skyline! Let's go, boys! Woo!
A lot of us got dropped halfway up the first climb or just after the first climb. A few of us made over the next couple climbs, but you know, me and a couple guys were going on the first climb. Like, fitness just wasn't there again, and that was the end of that. So I mean, I'm in Europe, and all of my UCI races I'm having like DNFs, you know. And for me mentally, it was like, man, that's super frustrating, just knowing that I'm better than that. So that's something I had to deal with. Came back home. My coach had decided it was time for me to move up the ladder. Just someone who I think was equipped to handle me a little bit better. So I started working with Tim Cusick, and immediately we started doing tests and stuff, and we were really starting to figure out what really makes me tick as an athlete. It was a total rebuild on the mental side and just habits off the bike. Like, it was more about my nutrition, about my sleep, about how I carry myself off the bike, along with what was happening on the bike. So Tim was a really good, like, hard reset button for me. It really got me into a good mental space. It got me excited again. It got me just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just a good reset. It was like a hard reset in a way. So immediately I tell Tim, you know, we got the Maryland Classic coming up in September. At this point, it's early June. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go all in, prepare for that race. Let's really make that the race that I do well in this year. And let's make that, you know, just the big win for the season. Then we can close this out, move into 2023, and, you know, rebuild fresh for that year. So we start doing it. We start moving in that direction. Things are going well. And then all of a sudden, like, one day I go out to ride and, like, I just have no energy. It's weird. It's like I do a couple efforts and immediately my body's just done. Next day I go out to a race. It's like a 50-mile crit. Shouldn't be a big deal. I'm fit at this point. Like, I'm doing well in the local races. An hour in, all of a sudden, the same thing. I'm just fatigued, got no power. I'm hanging on, mid-pack, zone 2. Just at this point, I'm like, I'm just gonna survive till the end. And I do. Get home and I'm like, man, something's really up. We kind of start to enter the next week. We do a workout. I barely get through it. I get home and I'm just crushed and wrecked. The next day I jump on the bike, just an endurance day, got no power, like fatigue through the roof. We go back out the next day, fatigue again. You know, we're not really sure what's going on here. So then we're ending this rest week and start the next week, and again, same issues. So at this point we're like, well, let's just kind of see how things go, eat a little bit more, different things like that, get more sleep. So we do go through the weekend. Weekend goes amazing. Fast forward another week, so we're like on week 3. I start to ride again, same thing. At that point it's like, dude, I think I have COVID, right? It was weird. I wasn't testing positive for COVID, but I had fatigue, I had mild body aches, I had trouble sleeping. I wear the Whoop. My respiratory rate was pretty high for a week and a half. Everything else was solid, but that was off. Anytime I would go to do any exercise or get my heart rate elevated, immediately I would, like, it was almost like I bonked, like my energy systems just wouldn't work. So at that point we realized it's COVID, it is what it is. So if week 3, we take completely off the bike. We do kind of almost like a mid-season rest, and we just do that. And at that point, it's like, man, we got, I don't know, 6 weeks to Maryland, and I just took a 3-week kind of hiatus due to COVID. So now we're time crunched. Come out of that and we start easing back into things, and it's kind of a bummer because we really have to stay purely aerobic and not go anaerobic, because with COVID, anytime you start to go anaerobic, that system really gets hit hard and you can re-trigger it and you start to go backwards, which is what was happening to me. So come out of the COVID, start rolling again. We get a good 3-week block in of about 23 to 25 hours. Some good races, got a 3rd place in a local crit, got a teammate a win the next week. The 3rd week, we had a great race with the team as well. You know, going to team camp, do some motor pacing and stuff. Things are starting to really click. We get to Maryland, you know, at this point, both of us, me and Tim, are like, yeah, we did the best we could. We crammed for this. Let's see what happens.
Brad Tucci is also here, the manager. Michael, come on, stand over here, man. You're not going to run for the microphone. Here's your team director, Michael Tucci. All right, so tell us a little bit about, you're all serious right now. Is the team that serious right now? Are you guys ready for Sunday?
Yeah, I think so. We went to Europe and raced in Denmark and Italy in a sprint campaign. We got a taste of the big boy racing over there, did some big UCI races, and they said, there's one in America? And I said, yeah, there's only one.
Coming to Maryland, and man, we tapered a day or 2 early. Again, it's something that we've been learning about how I respond as an athlete. My body does not respond well to a regular taper. It needs a little bit of load in the system. If I get too fresh, then things start to kind of metabolically get out of whack in my system, and then things don't work right when I'm on the bike, like lactate shuttling, just getting through that kind of stuff, like legs get blocked up, different things. So we just didn't get enough load into the system the day before Maryland. So when I enter Maryland, you know, I've got some blocked up legs. I really didn't feel it until about an hour into the race. It really started to hit, but I noticed early, just any times we started to do 400 plus on climbs and stuff, it was like, whoa, the legs do not want to buffer lactic acid like right now at all. They just don't want to buffer. But in Maryland, you know, I give it my best. I got in a 2-man chase group that was trying to get up the road to the breakaway that stayed away for the day. We didn't make it because Bike Exchange was busy chasing on the front, trying to bring that break back apparently, and they brought us back. And, you know, we did our best. But walk away from Maryland, I did finish just outside of the circuits, but I finished the race. So finally not a DNF. And now that kind of brings us to like where we are now. So then post Maryland, that brings us into just kind of the last race is Bucks County, which was this last week. Rainy, super rainy crit. The course wasn't quite my style of course. The training we've been doing for Maryland was more for the long endurance aerobic day, you know, with the threshold efforts and a few anaerobic efforts here and there up the short climbs. Bucks County was a climb every single lap where we were just going nuclear almost every single time. On top of that, it was raining on the downhill. I just do so dumb. Last second, I put extra tire pressure in my tires because it started to dry out, and then when it started raining mid-race, my back end started sliding around here and there and lost all confidence in my cornering going downhill in the rain. So ended up DNFing from that crit about an hour in because it was a 2-hour crit. It was like a 50-mile crit. Anyways, team did good though. We got 2 guys out of the 8 of us that started, 3 finished, and we got 2 up in 10th and 8th place respectively. So, but that putting it into my season. Now, here's the thing that's happened. Like I said, when I started the year, I think my threshold was around 320 watts. It's about 155 pounds. I really need to bring that down to try to achieve race weight, which is around 146 in order to be super fast, and we needed to definitely boost my threshold. Going into Maryland, I want to say we haven't tested, but I'm thinking my threshold was more around 350, 355. We're actually doing a test this week to figure out what my threshold is. On top of that, I did work on race weight when I got back from Italy. After Italy, I dropped from 155. Day of Maryland was 149, and I've been floating around 149 right now. I'm actually hoping to continue to drop a little bit more in the coming weeks, and hopefully we can just kind of sit there through the off season. And who knows, like, I haven't gone any lower than 146 before because I think I just haven't really been super focused to really get that last little drop of weight. So I don't know if that's a possibility or not. I'm super strong at that weight though, so if I can just get to 146, I'm gonna try to be super disciplined this off season and just stay there. That way I can enter the 2023 season in my race weight already and not have to focus on that and just focus mostly on training. But that's been my year. A couple of things that I learned is, one, being a professional cyclist, it definitely gets, I think there's a lot of hype on social media about it, about how you're taken care of and things like that. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these continental teams, going to these races and seeing these UCI professional teams, I mean, man, a lot of them are just bare bones minimum support for these riders. Yes, we got all these sponsors behind us, but I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these sponsors are a lot of gear support. But I think that's the problem, is on social media it looks like, oh, Team Skyline, there's this sick team that's got all these sponsors and, you know, riders got salaries and things like that. In reality, I think that actually hurts the image because sponsors on the outside looking in go, oh, they got plenty of support, they don't need my money. You know, I think that's the same thing. I mean, you look at other teams, the World Tour teams have these massive budgets and they're kind of the only ones running this ride as well. But all the continental teams, well, they're fine, right? They have all these big sponsors, and why would I as a company want to sponsor them? You know, and I think that's just kind of something that is tough to understand when you see social media, because, you know, on social media we look professional. I mean, we are professional, but I'm gonna be honest, I run our Team Skyline social media stuff. We have another rider on the team that handles a lot of spreadsheets and trying to put together a race calendar and things like that. I mean, all of us riders play a role and have a role on this team outside of just riding our bikes. And I think, you know, as a sponsor looking in, they just kind of miss that. So I think, you know, if there's any sponsors who are curious about sponsoring a continental team, I would say definitely reach out to them and talk to them about what their needs are and how you can best help them. Because like I said, it's not that we're not supported. I mean, it was an amazing experience and I love Team Skyline. A lot of cool things happened. We had some amazing sponsors, and we have amazing sponsors coming back on for 2023. But again, like, I think social media just paints it as us as riders show up, have these massive team buses and team cars and unlimited bikes and salary and unlimited nutrition, all this stuff, you know, soigneurs and someone to give me a massage after the race. But in reality, being in Europe, all these continental teams, pretty much all of them don't have that high level support that the World Tour does. And it all is because it comes down to money. But they look super professional on race day. We were professional on race day. They look really good on social media. You know, everything is good and it looks great there. But I just think it's something to think about. You know, me coming in first year as a professional, that's kind of what I expected, was like a World Tour experience in a way. And quickly I realized that wasn't it. And once I realized that that's okay, you know, I'm still doing what I love, that's where it became a lot more fun. You know, Maryland, I kind of, in a way, I was almost like an assistant director with helping with just making sure our feed zone was taken care of and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, our performance director said that could have maybe hindered some of my riding in Maryland, just being occupied with making sure the team was taken care of feed zone wise, because it was right here in my backyard. So I had a ton of people organized to do that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if I had to like pick a new team for next year, I think I would totally still come to this team. The guys on this team are amazing. The staff is amazing. I love everything about it. The opportunities that we got, gosh dang, they were super amazing. And then you look at the sponsors that are on board, like Basso. They're actually an amazing sponsor. Their bikes are pretty sick. I'm gonna do a breakdown on the bike I have. Campagnolo components. I mean, never had Campagnolo before, but I like it. Their wheels are dope. Their electric EPS is sick. Their components are awesome. Some other sponsors we had is McQueen Athletes. He was someone who came over from Ride Bikes, still supporting us in 2023. Like, love Jeff and what he does and his support just overall. And he's up in Pittsburgh, so hopefully I can get up there to meet him. Santini was sick. I mean, they did all of the leaders jerseys for the Tour of France this year, so having them actually be, you know, one of our main sponsors was awesome. Their kits are nice. I love their gear. Shikon, their glasses are actually amazing. Like, I didn't know much about Shikon, but I've been rocking Oakleys my whole life, but Shikon glasses are sick. I love them. Not only that, man, all the luggage that they make is unbelievable. Love it. Like, now I have cycling specific luggage for traveling, and that just makes life so much easier. I'm sure there's sponsors I'm forgetting, but I mean, that's a lot of the main ones we have for Team Skyline. So that's been my year though. I really just wanted to put this together and just kind of give you my thoughts. Going forward, I'm excited. We have a lot of cool things planned. Next week, I'm gonna sit down for almost 2 hours with my coach and just kind of talk about, you know, what our off season is gonna look like and what we can do to best set me up for a successful 2023. So outside of all of that though, I'm still running my coaching business full time, super strong into that. By the way, if anyone is interested in coaching, hit me up. Like, currently is a good time to take on new athletes, and I do have room for some new athletes. But outside of that, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. So hopefully I can get back in the rhythm of making these videos. Man, next year I'm really gonna work really hard on just sharing what's happening with the team and with my path. I think this year I just got a little discouraged with my fitness and my results personally, and because of that, it made me not want to make videos. And I think one thing I learned in from McQueen Athletes, the one thing he told me is like, dude, if you film the bad and the ugly along with the good, that just makes you more real, more authentic. And that's something I really want to do. So this is the breakdown this last year. Appreciate all the support. So many people gave me messages throughout the year just encouraging me, just saying they're cheering for me, just saying what a cool opportunity. Like, I appreciate all of that. All the sponsors we had this year, super appreciate it. My wife Heather, she was phenomenal with just supporting me. I spent 3 weeks in Arizona away from her. I spent 6 weeks in Europe. Actually, I spent 4 weeks in Europe away from her, and she came over for 2 weeks. You know, there's been a lot of traveling this off season. I'm gonna be traveling back and forth to California to get out of the bad weather here in PA. You know, there's gonna be some time where we spend apart because of that, but she's been an amazing support of that, so I thank her for that. But yeah, I mean, here's to the off season, here's to 2023. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Catch you guys in the next video.